trusting God for the moment at hand. It comes from the book of Esther in the Bible. We've been going through these series. This is number 17. We've gone through about a little bit more than half the book. The Amazing Adventure has 31 episodes, seeing how Adam, sin entered the world, Abraham, the promise that came to him, Jacob, who God had changed his name to Israel. Israel went into Egypt, and then we saw Moses delivering the people from Egypt. Now the Hebrew people continue. They went into Babylon captivity. Esther is a far descendant of the people that were sent there into Babylon. So now she's in Persia, and her cousin Mordecai's there as well. Mordecai adopts her because her parents had passed away. She became like a daughter to him. King Ahasuerus, or you could call his name King Xerxes in the Greek, and that's the name I used in the Amazing Adventure book because it's a little bit easier to pronounce. So King Xerxes called his queen Vashti to come to him. She wouldn't come. She refused. It was during a festival time. He was drinking a lot, and he got upset, angry, and he said, "Okay, I'm going to have a new queen." So they sent out people to search for a queen. They brought a bunch of women there for him to choose from, and Esther became the queen, which is amazing. She was a Jewish girl. He didn't let her know that she was from the Hebrew people, but as she became queen, then this guy named Haman had come to the power in the kingdom, and he required everybody to bow down to him. Mordecai wouldn't do it because he was a Hebrew. He believed you should only bow down to the one true God, just like in Daniel, in the book of Daniel. And so they wanted to get Mordecai. They were upset, so he made a decree. Haman made a decree that all the Jewish people would die in one day. And that upset, obviously, Mordecai. He heard about it. And so he went to Esther and he said, "Hey, you got to go to the king and get him to change that edict. That's crazy." And she said, "Well, you can't just go into the king without being called by him. That's pretty dangerous. They could actually kill you if you do that, even though she's queen." And so she kind of hesitated a little bit there. Maybe that was her flesh. Who knows? We all have fear. We all deal with these. We're all human. We deal with these things. But her true identity came out because she understood that. No, you know what? And Mordecai challenged her. He said, this perhaps God chose you queen for just a time as this, and that's in Esther 4:14. And whatever we do in life, it's not what we do so much; it's how God's working in and through that in our lives to impact other people, and in this case, to save many people, just like in Joseph's day in the book of Genesis. So Esther goes to the king. He holds out his golden scepter. That means she could come in, so she wasn't going to get killed. She said, "I'll give you up to half my kingdom, whatever you want. I'll give." And so she said, "Well, come to a banquet tomorrow, and I'll let you know." So that night, the kings he couldn't sleep, and they were reading the old records, and they found out that Mordecai had actually saved his life. The king said, "What did y'all do for Mordecai?" And they said, "Nothing yet." And so he goes to Haman the next day, the king does, says, "What would you do for a man that saved my life?" Haman thought he was talking about him. He's so prideful. And Haman said, "Okay, yeah, you should put his crown on him, the king's crown, his royal robe. You should make him go out in the streets on his horse and prance around." And so King Xerxes says, "Okay, go do that for Mordecai." And that just really made Haman mad because he couldn't believe the twist of fate there, so he did take Mordecai out and do all that. But as he was still plotting to kill, he went to his wife and they advised him, "Hey, let's go ahead and make the gallows for Mordecai. Let's go ahead and set up the hanging platform." And they did all that. They prepared all that. And then so Esther comes to the king the next day. This is just an amazing story. And let's try to apply it to today. I mean, I'm sure there's twists and turns in our lives today, in our own little lives, and in the bigger context of our world. There's a lot going on. But Esther says, there's an edict out, told the king this at the banquet, and Haman was sitting right there. She said, there's an edict out for all the Jewish people to be killed in one day, and that includes me. And the king's like, "Who gave that edict?" And she said, "Haman did." She pointed to Haman, and the king said, "Well, go hang him on the gallows that he prepared for Mordecai." So it's just a twist of fate how they prepared all this stuff for evil, and God turns it around for good. Again, just like in the story of Joseph. And so Mordecai became second in the command, just like Joseph was second in command in Egypt. So it's just amazing the parallels there in these stories and how God continued on his royal line, his royal line, through to the King of Kings and Lord of Lords, Jesus Christ, through the Hebrew people in the Old Testament here as we move through towards the New Testament when Jesus comes on the scene. So I hope you enjoyed this story. Get the Amazing Adventure book if you'd like. It's free. I'll send it to you. Share these videos on YouTube if you can. And just stay in the Word. Read the Bible. This is a book, I think 14 chapters, maybe a little longer than that. But you can read that in one sitting, as my professor in college used to say. So let's do that. Stay in the Word and encourage each other in the Lord Jesus.